In this example, we're going to go over allocating overhead. Chain Reaction allocates its overhead using machine hours. They've decided on machine hours because they've analyzed their overhead. Overhead are the costs that aren't easily traced to a product, so they pool these costs together. They use some logical activity, or what they call cost driver, to allocate the overhead to the various products or cost objects. In our case, the cost objects are bikes. Let's say they produce mountain bikes and road bikes. So this $200,000 is the costs such as depreciation on the machinery, or the salaries for the inspector, or the maintenance people, the salary of the maintenance people who oversee the running of the machines, all kinds of costs that aren't easily traced to any specific bike. So that 200,000 we're going to allocate using the machine hours, and they estimate that the machines will run 10,000 hours. Now they could have used direct labor costs if they felt like the overhead was more related to having employees. The fact that they use machine hours indicates that most of these overhead costs are driven by the running of a machine. All right, so how much goes to the mountain bikes? You first, at the beginning of the year, they come up with their allocated overhead rate. And that's going to equal, in this example, your total estimated overhead related to making the bikes. And then they're going to use the total machine hours as their denominator. Now this is the machines are run, or the machines not only make mountain bikes, but they also make the road bikes. So what it comes down to now that they've figured out their rate, every time the mountain bikes use the machine, or an hour of a machine use is gone into making a mountain bike, $20 needs to be allocated to the mountain bike's costs. So to get the actual allocated amount, you're going to take that rate and then you multiply it by the actual activity, and in this case for the mountain bikes. So as far as how much is that? Well, we're going to multiply the 20 times the 2,000 hours that it took to make the mountain bikes. So you take your overhead rate 20 times the actual activity or hours, and in this case machine hours. So $40,000 will get out of the 200,000 is going to go to the mountain bikes. That means the rest of it, if there's only two products, would go to the road bikes. Now again, they could have used labor hours if they felt that was a better way to allocate, and in that case the rate would be the 200,000 divided by your total labor hours to get an overhead rate per labor hour, and then you multiply, or every time an hour of labor goes into a mountain bike, that overhead rate time would go into that mountain bike.